Okay, 4.7, graphing absolute value functions. First off, f of x is equal to absolute value of x. F of x replaces your y. That means the same thing. So anytime you see f of x, that's the same thing as y. That means y equals absolute value of x. Sometimes you might see g of x or h of x too, but f of x is the most common one. We're going to make a table to do this graph. So we're going to have x and we're going to have y, or you can say, or f of x. Now I'm going to pick, remember when we graphed linear equations, I told you to pick two positives, two negatives, 0 and two positives. We're going to pick, just for this one, we're going to pick three negatives. So -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to plug it into the absolute value. So absolute value of -3 is 3. Absolute value of -2 is 2. Absolute value of -1 is 1. Absolute value of 0 is 0. Absolute value of 1 is 1. Absolute value of 2 is 2. And absolute value of 3 is 3. Okay, so let's graph. Let's plot these points. When we plot these points, we look at this. Is this a straight line? No, well, I knew it wasn't going to be a linear function. For it to be a linear function, it'd have to be in the form of y equals mx plus b. Is this equation in that form? No. So I knew it was not going to give me a straight line. All absolute value functions are a V-shape. All absolute value functions are a V-shape. And here is a V. So we are going to make a V. The point at where they cross, where they change the direction, is this point right here, which is called the vertex. And the vertex is 0 to pair 0, 0. That's called the vertex. We got to think back to domain and range. What domain stands for your x values, right? And range stands for your y values. Well, let's state, what could the domain be? And in other words, what could we plug in for x? Could we plug in anything we wanted for x? Yeah, we plugged in -3, -2. We could have we plugged in a -1,000 or a +1,000. Yes. So how do you say you can plug in anything you want? All real numbers. The domain is, and what's the abbreviation for all real numbers? 2 lines and then the R. The range are your y values. So let's look, again, this is your y values. Same thing as f of x. Let's look at your y values. Tell me something about all these y values. They are all what? They are all positive. Because when you take an absolute value of a number, you always get, it's always positive. So how do you say all positive numbers? Look at the number line. Where does it start at positive numbers? Well, 0 is neither positive nor negative. But everything after 0, so like 0.999999999, right? How do you say that? The way we say it is y, and it's okay to be 0. We clearly see that it's 0, is greater than or equal to 0. That is your range. That means that y, and the reason why we used y is because range stands for your y values, is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so it can be anything greater than or equal to 0. Now, this is what's called a parent graph. A parent graph is where it goes through the origin. When you have y equals x, that went through the origin, and along with y equals f of x, goes through the origin. Okay, to graph, the very first thing you want to do is you want to take what's inside the absolute value, take it out of the absolute value, and put it equal to 0. Okay, so step 1, take what's inside the absolute value and put equal to 0. Write that down. Okay, so we take the x minus 4 out of the absolute value and put it equal to 0. Solve for x by adding 4, so we get x is equal to 4. That is going to give me the x value of your vertex. That, write that down, that gives you the vertex. So we're going to give x 0. When we give x 0, that's 0 minus 4, which is a negative 4, and absolute value of negative 4 is 4. Oh, I'm sorry, I have this backwards. Sorry. I should have put 4 right here for x, not 0. And 4 minus 4 is 0, and absolute value of 0 is 0. That is your vertex. So you want to find the vertex first. Okay? I hope I didn't confuse anybody by accidentally putting an x for 0. Does everybody understand what I did? So that's the point 4, 0. So plot that point. Now, to pick values to plug in for x, we want to pick 2 values from the left of the vertex and 2 from the right of the vertex. So we're going to pick 2 values from the left of the vertex. I'm going to skip and pick positive 2 and 0. And then which 2 numbers are to the right of the vertex? We could pick 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, keep on going. I'm going to skip every other one. Instead of 5, I'm going to pick 6 and 8. That kind of spaces your points out. Now finish the table. Okay, so when I picked 2, I get a 2. When I pick 0, 4. Check your table. Is that what your table is? Now let's plot these points. Okay, I plot the points and then I make my V. Now I have a V, where earlier I did not have a V. Oops, sorry. Now we need to state the domain and range. Don't forget to do that. I'm kind of running out of room here. I'm going to state the domain right here. What is the domain? And the way to write that, put D stands for domain with a colon. Okay, capital D, domain. So what does the domain stand for? What could we plug in for X? We could have picked, was there a stipulation over here? We could have picked anything we wanted. Could we have picked some negative numbers? Could we have picked some positive numbers? So what's the domain? All real numbers. And the range is capital R. And now, the range is not all real numbers. Look at your vertex. Everything is greater than your vertex, isn't it? So what is the y value of your vertex? What's the y value of vertex? 0. So everything is greater than or equal to 0. Do y'all agree with that? So what is your range? Y is greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Example 3b, graph f of x is equal to absolute value of 2x plus 1. Now, are we going to pick For x, are we going to pick -2, -1, 0, 1, 2? No, we have to find the vertex first. How do we find the vertex? Take what's inside the absolute value and put it equal to what? 0. Are y'all doing that? Okay, we are going to find the vertex. To find the vertex, we put 2x plus 1 equal to 0. Subtract 1, so that's 2x is equal to -1. Divide by 2, so x is equal to -1/2. You can write y or f of x in your table heading. So x is -1/2. So when you plug in -1/2 in for x, what is your y going to be? Do y'all know? Okay, so I get 0. So let me plot the point. So draw your graph. Here's -1/2, 0. Okay, now I am going to pick 2 values to the left of the vertex and 2 values to the right. So I have several options. What's to the left of this of -1/2? -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and so on, right? Now, would I be smart if I picked -1? No, that would not be smart because it's too close. So I should pick what? -2, skip, and do what, -4? Do every other, just to space it out a little bit. So I'm going to pick -2 and -4. And then what's to the right of -1/2? I could pick 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I shouldn't pick 0 because it's just too close. So what's the next one? 1. Or I could pick 2, it doesn't matter. Let's do 1 and what? 4 or 3, doesn't matter. Let's do both. 1, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's -2 times 2, that's a -4 plus 1 is -3. Absolute value of -3 is 3. Then 2 times a -4 is a -8 plus 1 is -7. Absolute value of -7 is 7. Okay, so check your work. Did you get that for your tables when you plug in all the numbers? Now let's plot the points. So there's your V. Now, let's state the domain. What is the domain? All real numbers. What is your range? Your range are all the values that are above the vertex. By the way, this is the vertex, correct? So everything has to be greater than or equal to the y value of your vertex. This is the y value of your vertex. So what is the range? Y is greater than or equal to 0. Now in example 4, it's f of x is absolute value of x plus 2 plus 1. Now that plus 1 is outside the vertex. That's going to do something a little different to this V. So how do we find the vertex? First thing we do is we take what's inside the absolute value out and put it equal to 0. So we take the x plus 2 and we put it equal to 0. So it's -2. Now, is y going to be 0 right here? No, it's not. It would be if it was just the absolute value. So let's plug in -2 right here. So that's -2 plus 2. What is -2 plus 2? That is 0, but then we have that plus 1. So what is 0 plus 1? 1. So that's my vertex. Okay. So let's plot that point, -2, 1. Okay, now we have to pick two numbers to the left and two numbers to the right. Okay, so we're going to pick -4 and -6. That's 2 points to the left, and then 2 points to the right of the vertex is 0, 2. Go ahead and fill in your table. Calculate it and fill in your table, please. Okay, so there's your tables, and then plot the points and make your V, and then state the domain and range. So what's the domain, class? All real numbers. Now the range is going to be a little different, because where's the vertex? The vertex is right here. So it's all numbers that are greater than or equal to the y value of the vertex. So what is the range? Y is greater than or equal to 1. Do y'all agree with that? Good. Okay, here is your assignment.